Welcome back to James Rizzi Shape Birds. And you can see the shapes that I've used. I've used this teardrop shape that's upside down. I've used the oval or circle where it has skipped the head. I have used lines to make the wings and the beak and the tail. I have used dots for the nostrils and the pupils. And this week is all about adding color. We are going to be using the 3 primary colors and the 3 secondary colors. So one of these paintings is going to be just the 3 primary colors. This week you will need your watercolor paints, or you can use completely wet down tempera paints if you would like. So what you're going to do first is you are going to wet your brush, and you can clean it off by rubbing it on the bottom of the bowl and then carefully dripping the water off of it. I am going to fill in my first bird with water, and I'm not going to paint the eyes because I want the eyes to stay white. I'm just going to get water all over this first bird. And the very first primary color that I would like to use is red. And so I'm going to tickle some water onto the red cake until the brush fills up with the red. I do not have to dig in. Watercolor paints are just going to use water mixed with the paint, not the paint itself. So I drip that watercolor paint inside of my bird. If you have traced the lines with crayon, the crayon will bounce the water off of it, which is why that is called a wax resist. The wax will resist the watercolors. I have not done that on this one. I used permanent marker instead. I couldn't use regular marker because regular marker would just bleed. You can see I got a little bit of the red inside the eye, and that's okay. And now I'm going to scrub on the bottom of the bowl until it's nice and clean. I would like to use yellow for my second bird. That is the second primary color. But yellow is such a weak color. It can be completely overpowered by any other color that's on the brush. So I have to make sure it's nice and clean before I tickle the paint cake until it is wet. And now the brush has sucked up the yellow paint. And there's only one more primary color. The primary colors being the ones that you need to make all the other colors. Primary has a base word that means 1 because these are singular colors. Use the properties of water. Water is a very special resource. And art supply. If you don't get your paint inside the lines, that's okay. We'll color over it later. This one's gonna dry while I do the secondary colors. I would like to challenge you to use the primary colors to mix the secondary colors, because we always need practice with that sort of thing. So for this first bird, I'm going to fill it with water first. Now that I have filled in the bird with water, I can start mixing my primary colors. Because yellow is that weak color, I'm going to tap that in first. And then because red is such a strong color, I'm just going to get a little tiny bit and start mixing it with my yellow to make some orange. And if I have used too much red, I can always clean my brush and get a little bit more yellow on there. When I mixed red and yellow, I got orange. I am going to start with yellow again in this next bird after I fill it with water. My water is getting a little dirty. If your water gets too dirty and filled with all of the extra paints, you can clean your bowl and get some extra. So here we go. I'm going to fill it with yellow again. Ooh, what a pretty bird you are. Yes. And I am going to add some blue. Now blue is the strongest of the primary colors, so I really don't need much. I'm going to drip that in. I'm going to start to mix. Secondary. Try not to spill my birds. And now the final secondary color, my favorite, you know it. What is it? It's purple. I miss my purple hair. I'm probably gonna dye it again soon, because I love colors. So, I'm gonna start with a little bit of red. Wow! I'm gonna wash that brush. Put in a little bit of blue. It's America. And that is week 2 of your James Rizzy birds. I wanted to add a beak onto this one. When your colors touch each other and they're wet like this, they will combine. So you have to be careful, especially when you're next to purple. Yellow and purple are opposite colors. So when they mix, they make some neutral color like brown, gray, or black. That can be very pretty when you want it to happen, but if you don't want it to happen, it can be a little sad. I'm going to let that dry, and that is the end of week 2 of your shaped birds inspired by James Rizzy. Meow? I mean, bye!